So thank you, Roseanne, for joining me today. So you're a teacher, a high school teacher, and a month and a half ago, things changed for you, right? Dramatically,
Yes.
very big time. So tell me about how was that transition for you to move your classroom from there to online? How was that for you?
So we had less than a week. I think we were told on Sunday that school was being canceled and that we were moving online. So Monday we didn't go into school, and then Tuesday the schools were open to move everything online. So we really had Tuesday through Friday work days to get everything ready for launching work for students by Monday. So it was pretty chaotic, and learning all of the different systems that we're now using, like Google's Classroom and Zoom and any other online programs like Khan Academy. I teach math, so Khan Academy, things like that. So it's been a process of these. It's been 6 weeks. I think we just finished our 6th week. So it's been a process of getting up to speed and getting all this up and running. But we only had a few days to go live and have something for students to do that Monday morning.
Thank you. That was amazing. I think there are many district and teachers who did exactly that, right?
Yes.
Like we all, it's amazing how fast we can adapt to change. But it does take work. But look at the whole world, right? We've changed. We changed.
I know. Only when there's a gun to our heads.
But what do you think made you successful? Like, were you worried at that time? Was it hard for you, or was it easy? Because you tell me about your background a little bit. Like, you told me that it was easy for you because, and others might have found it a little difficult, right?
Yeah. So I have a background in corporate America, so I'm used to using technology, using software programs and all that. So for me, I could do it, but it was still very time consuming, and it was a lot going on at one time. So for other people, like more seasoned teachers that really are not so familiar with technology, I think it's really difficult for them, to be able to learn all these systems and get it all up and running in a way that's effective.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, even like, I think a lot of people had a hard time just transitioning, because if you're not equipped to use Zoom or all these Google Classrooms back and forth, even taking pictures of your work and uploading, or all of this, right? You're not there physically anymore, so you have to learn it on the spot. So I think a lot of teachers done amazing to learn it, but there are still, we can't point fingers at, if you need to give people time to learn this, right?
Yes.
Figure it out, right? So the teachers are doing what they can with the sudden change we all expect. But, so how are you finding it now that you've been on it for 6 weeks? How is it? Is it now a flow?
Just not really. Like, every time I think like, okay, I got this down and it's a routine, something else comes up. So I would say for the first 6 weeks, it was really getting the technology up and running, and I have the kids more on online courses because someone else alerted me to there's so much going on. To be lesson planning and videotaping yourself at the same time would be really overwhelming. So for a lot of us, we're using things like Khan Academy and other programs. So that's helping a lot, but you still have to, learn how to work the programs, and you have to know what's in the programs and the content and all that. So it's it alleviates the grading aspect of that somewhat, because they're automatically graded, and that's great and gives feedback right away to the kids. But then there's other issues that come up where, getting the kids on it and liking it and using it and that kind of thing. So I would say the technology is like up and running, and I understand that, and I have a grading system in place and all that. So now the new wave is getting the kids and the parents on board and making sure they're doing what they need to do. So I think a lot of the parents are not so technology savvy, and the kids are high school kids, and you can't always trust what they say. So yeah, so I'm now realizing, oh, maybe I need to call the parent first and talk to the parent, or have a Zoom meeting with the parent and the students and make sure everyone's on the same page.
Yeah. Being 20 years one-on-one coaching and teaching in class, we hear all kinds of stuff that could go from my homework eaten by the dog, right? To all kinds of stuff, right? Like, have you heard anything funny from like, there was one, yeah.
Like right in front of me, I said to a student, "Do you have a computer at home?" He said, "No, I don't." And his brother gets on the phone. He has a it's like he has a computer. He's lying. Like, wow, just like that. So after that, I was like, okay, so they might not be so trustworthy at this point.
Yeah, there was a meme that was going around where the student told the online teacher that he forgot his homework at home. Right? So that excuse no longer works.
Exactly.
You get home and get your homework. So what advice do you have for parents? Like, I know, as a teacher, what can you advise them? Because a lot of parents are worried, and they're also doing what they can. But what would you advise them?
Yeah, I mean, I have one of my brothers has 4 kids. 2 of them are in junior high, 2 are in high school, and they're all at home. And they have quite a scheduling set up.
Yeah.
But they're very organized, I think, over there. But I think the biggest thing is monitoring. The parents really need to be watching that the kids are doing what they're doing and setting up a structure. So at my school, we provide a weekly schedule for the kids to fill out so they know what they're doing for that week. We also ask them to review their academics grades at the beginning of the week to know, make sure everything's where it needs to be. So planning for the week, and we ask them to do that, with the parents too, because a lot of kids are not used to doing this. The teachers are doing it for them, and they're not used to time management. So that's a big issue. And then just oversight. I mean, there was always oversight needed with the parents, even when the kids were in school, but now I think even more so. Mm-hmm. And so for some of the parents, I'm saying daily oversight until the child gets, up and running and into a routine.
Yeah.
So, and we are on my school, on our side, we're really grading things daily or every other day, because we want to know, what the status is of the kids.
Yeah.
If they're able to do it.
Yeah. And what would your advice be for your students?
Yeah, I mean, I say to a lot of the students, to try to keep the schedule just like if we're in school physically, because actually the teachers, we meet every morning as a staff at 9 a.m. and then we're doing grading and attendance and, assignments in the morning. So we're actually very active in the morning. Our schedule hasn't really changed. So I think if they can do that too, it would be good, and a structure or a schedule that they're used to. Yeah. But a lot of them are staying up all night and sleeping all day, and that's not really helpful to anyone. Yeah. So and also to keep up with your work, for actually it's really not much different from being actually in school. It's the same thing. It's just you're not in a classroom doing the work, you're doing the work at home. But stay focused on it, stay current with it, get it done. If you have questions, work with the teacher on it. Yeah. And just treat it like it's
you're in school.
Yeah.
Treat it like you're in school. I think one of my other videos I did was on putting together a schedule. I think schedule is a tremendous asset when you're home, right? Because it's easy. Yeah. Because home is somewhere you relax most of the time. Before, now it has become our workplace, gym, everything. Like we're doing everything. Everything is here at home, and we're learning that we could do everything home if we want. If it wasn't for having the internet and all these internet services for us, we couldn't have done it. But you have your world in your home right now. We can reach anybody anywhere. So there's no, I guess, like kids, if they put together a schedule, I think it's possible. And I think even if it's not as long as even school hours, right? Because at school you have, going from classroom to classroom, lunch and all the other stuff. Even if you do half of that time, you'll be more and you're productive. You can get lots done and then have the extra time to do whatever you like, right? So that kind of structure would help students. But the high school students might have harder time because sometimes procrastination is a big issue, right? With some of our students, like they say, I'll do it later. Later becomes later. Later becomes later, right? And then it becomes later.
And I'm kind of like, what are they doing with all the time?
Yeah.
You know, like.
And another thing that I always like to tell people is that when you have too much of something, it is going to become boring after a while. Too much of anything is good for nothing, right? So moderation is important. Like, even if you're sleeping, if you sleep too much, it's going to be boring after sleeping. Right? But you can, I think the most important is for me as well, like, our family, we all have schedules ourselves. Taking frequent breaks, because at home, if you don't take it and sit, it feels like longer, right? Because you're not moving, so movement break or anything. And making sure that you're responsible for your work, because that's very important. I think not take it as if you're in school. Your point was very good. Like, don't take it as you're not in school.
And I think on the private sector side, more and more companies have been moving to online work and people working remotely. So it's a concept that's been around for a while, maybe, I don't know, 10, 20 years in the corporate side. So, I think for me, it's kind of like you need to do what you need to do no matter where you are. The work still needs to be done and done on a timely basis. So I'm kind of environment agnostic, I think. And that's probably a good thing to be.
Yeah, for me too. I've been online coaching for over 5 years now. So for me, my life didn't change because all my work was already online. But I could understand whoever, like the teachers who were, not equipped with all the technology or all the programs. Forget about the technology. Like the programs are big.
Yeah.
You have to learn the intricate parts of all the programs, right?
Exactly.
That's huge. Like, some of the Google Classroom.
And even like Zoom is not hard program. It's very user friendly. And I've been using it with you for a long time as a participant, but I never ran the Zoom meeting. And so I started to having to run the Zoom meeting. So that was very anxious because it was like, oh, there's all these, features and it takes time to learn it and to be able to use it properly and not, be cutting people off or dropping them in the middle of a meeting or doing something very embarrassing. So it's a little overwhelming.
It is. But you did it. It's six weeks, right?
I think this was our 6th week. Yeah.
You and a lot of other teachers did it. They're online. You guys are ready to help as much as you can, but always on the other side, parents and students, if they can do their part and treat it as if they're in school. And, I'm sure the parents are trying to help the students, but as they are older, like if they're in high school, it can be a little bit more challenging because they might put it off and say, I'll do it later. Then it's end up not being done and it's a couple of days old and then it becomes a pile. Then it just becomes too much, right?
So that's where the daily schedule and routine comes into play. They set that up, then it's harder to procrastinate. And then the oversight of the parents checking every day, did they do their work and did they get their grades and,
One thing that I've been hearing from a lot of parents is that they're very stressed out about them teaching a lot of these concepts, right? Right, like if they're in high school, if they know it, it's great, right? It's absolutely a blessing if your parents know the stuff. But a lot of parents may not know, or they probably forgot about it. It's been a while they've been in high school, right? So do you recommend that they need to worry like that, or is it just better to just take the resources, because you guys are offering a lot of resources, right, for them to learn, watch videos? There's like
I mean, it's not homeschooling. I mean, the teachers In my school are not really having Zoom classes because that's harder to manage. And, you know, you could have 20 kids, you can have 20, 30 kids on a Zoom meeting, but, you know, it's harder to read the engagement and who's doing what. And I think people are not so crazy about that, but we've been more posting up an assignment and videotaping ourselves explaining the work, so that it is like you're in the classroom, the teacher's modeling and doing an explanation and then giving you work from there. So the parents shouldn't really have to be teaching so much. And the teachers are available for one-on-one Zoom meetings. So if they're having questions or struggling, they should really be going to the teachers.
Yeah, that's my message has been too on my Facebook or wherever I post. I've always been telling parents that, you know, just do what you can. And the most important is the schedule. You know, if you let them
schedule
without
and monitoring.
Yeah.
Schedule and monitoring. I really see they're critical for that there's a schedule, routine, and oversight. But they should not be they shouldn't be teaching and trying to learn subjects. And
because it's too much. I mean, if you have 3-4 kids, how many math lessons can you learn in a day, right? It's a lot.
Do you imagine? Yeah.
You know, expectation is different when it comes to my son. Like, you know, when other kids, right? When it's other kids, I just look at it as differently. And that's why I usually say not to even, you know, tutor or teach your kids, because sometimes you can get into these battles and then you thought you were there to help, might end up in a battle with them and then breaking away and angry, right? So I kind of stay away from it. But I think this time parents need to not to worry about them helping more. Just as you said, take the schedule, implement it, and watch them over to see, make sure that they get it done, right?
And there is a lot of resources online. Like if the child, I mean, some of the kids are liking the online learning and some are not. So just like some like in class, some don't, and everyone has different learning styles and preferences. But you know, if they're not learning so well from however that teacher is teaching, there's plenty of resources online. They could go to like a Khan Academy or other sites to get another way to look at that subject. So, and that's good. That's great. I say to the kids, you know, you may not love online learning, but this is reality. When you know, go to college, you might have some online courses or work or blended environments. I said, you know, also if you go to work, you may have training that's going to be online. So this is like a skill that you need to have. So even though may not be your preferred way, that's great to know, but you still need to know how to do this.
Yeah, because
and be successful at it.
Our world revolves around being online now, right? I mean, a lot, it's going to be like, this is a, you know, poor situation, but in the future, you know, there's more, it could happen, you know, who knows what's going to be ahead, right? So
I'm just thinking we have to be teaching agnostic and they have to be learning agnostic in terms of the environments.
So thank you so much, Roseanne, for coming in and sharing your perspective with me. And it's so important to get a teacher's perspective because you guys work so hard to, you know, with this whole change over a week to put together and learn everything. And then you're there for your kids, you know, your students to, you know, to teach them. So I think it's, you know, hats off to all the teachers. I just think it's incredible. Like every other frontline workers, you guys did it too.
I know. I think I consider us frontline workers. Like we're there.
You're not at their home. You're going to their homes through the screen.
Exactly.
But thank you so much, and I really appreciate you coming and sharing with me your thoughts on this.
My pleasure. Anytime.
Thank you.